The night before, I checked the weather, and it was supposed to be rainy with possible thunderstorms. Great, I thought. We're supposed to be outside. But morning came, and the forecast had the rain holding off until right around the time we were supposed to be done. Don't you just love how God works? Let's rock. Are you walking through a storm that feels like it will never end? Do you wonder if life's storms have stolen the beauty from your life for good? You're in the right place. My name is Heather, and like you, I've been through a storm or two and wondered if life would ever be beautiful again. Here we share warriors' words, stories of discovering beauty after battles, and the worth in your wounds. Pick up your sword or boxing gloves and join the battle. Your words are powerful, my friends. Make them warrior words. Welcome, warriors. In my recent conversation with Lynn Donovan, which is episode 162, she offered some simple advice on how to deal with the chaos in your life. And that was serve others. She offered it as a way to get out of your own head and to stop dwelling on the troubles in your own life. And I have found that to be so true in my life. And since this episode is about service to others, I want to mention that nonprofit my son and I are forming. We need your help to make it possible. Our fiscal sponsor, Xavier Mission Fund, allows us to take donations legally to get our startup expenses. It's not cheap to file the legal filings, get an official logo, and start a website, which are all the basic things you need to have to get started these days before we can even start building. So please see the link in my show notes to make a one-time donation or start a monthly donation. These few basic needs have a cost in the thousands. So we appreciate any and all donations. Now to this week's episode. Recently, a health organization, not a health organization, it's like a health-related organization that I'm a part of, put out a call for volunteers. And when I read the email, I felt a little nudge to respond. But if I'm totally honest, I really didn't want to go. So I delayed responding. But one of the three components of Lent is almsgiving. Now, almsgiving doesn't have to mean money. Now, it certainly can, but it also can include your time and or your talents. This service event would require my time. No real talent required. So I eventually reached out to the coordinator and asked for the specifics. And what she sent back was that I'd have to be on site by 6:30 a.m. Now, those of you who know me personally know that I am not. I am absolutely not a morning person. I have improved my sleep through a program called Right Sleep, and now I do generally wake up around 7 a.m. without an alarm, and that is saying something. Now, I'm not an affiliate, but I'd be happy to share that link in the show notes. But even if I have improved my sleep, this would be disrupting that sleep by about 2 hours. So now I really didn't want to go. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized how much this organization has done for me and for so many other people. So I agreed to volunteer. The night before, I checked the weather, and it was supposed to be rainy with possible thunderstorms. Great, I thought. We were supposed to be outside. But morning came, and the forecast had the rain holding off until right around the time we were supposed to be done. Don't you just love how God works? Now, I guess by now you may be wondering what this volunteer event was that I had to drag myself to participate in. Well, I was being stupid and selfish in my initial response. It was a race. The other volunteers and I were to position ourselves at one of the mile markers and cheer. Yep, I was a cheerleader for a morning. We stood at an intersection and cheered for every runner who passed through. We smiled and gave high fives and encouraged them as they continued toward the finish line. We were near the end of the route, and many people who passed by were visibly exhausted. But several of them perked up when they saw our signs and high-fived us. Some even thanked us for being there to offer them encouragement. It was a simple morning. It was even a fun morning. Seeing the smiles and renewed stamina on some of the runners' faces meant we had done something good. Like I said, it was simple. Perhaps we didn't change anyone's life directly in those hours. But here's what we did do. We offered a smile to someone who was physically exerting themselves to an extreme point. We offered high fives and encouragement for many who were feeling the sting and wondering if they could make it to the finish line. And another thing we did, well, I found out later that the business that puts on this massive race doesn't do it for themselves. Now, they sponsor it using their resources. But the organizations that participate in these cheer stations, they get the proceeds. This business raises all of this money and then divides it between the nonprofits that serve their runners. What an incredible thing to do. So maybe, just maybe, we did do something that morning to change someone's life. It may not have been on that course, but the money raised by all of these organizations will go on to provide for their missions and allow them to continue the selfless work that they do, and quite possibly change somebody's lives in the very near future. Now, what are you avoiding because of selfishness? Could God be calling you to do something that could eventually change someone's life, even if you can't see it? Something to think about this week. Until we meet again, armor up, fight the good fight, seek beauty, and make your words warrior words. God bless.